This is Citizen TV. My name is Zinzi Kibiku.
And I'm Trevor Mbija. Always a pleasure having you with us. We're just getting into the second hour of this discussion. This is where we get into the newspaper review before we get into Bulls and Bears, where Waiga Mwaura is standing by live from the toy market, where the Infan raised down buildings there and business premises worth millions of shillings. We'll talk about the challenges facing the small-scale traders. Right. And we'd like to know from you as well, what are some of the issues facing small-scale traders in your own view? You can text 22422. You can call 0719 777. You can tweet at Trevor Mbija.
At Zinzi_K, or call us on 0719 777.
Absolutely.
We want you at home to be part of this conversation here in studio.
The hashtag has always been Daybreak. Before we get into that, let's start with the newspaper review. But first, let's introduce our guests first. Good manners insist that we introduce the guests before we just get into the discussion. We have Honorable Didmas Baraza, Kimilili Member of Parliament. Thank you for making time for us. And Arnold Maliba, Public Policy Expert. Thank you for tuning in and joining us on Daybreak.
Thank you.
Front page of the Daily Nation. Gloves off as Ruto allies take on Uhuru. In a dramatic widening of the ideological rift within Jubilee Party over the war on graft, politicians allied to Deputy President accused Kenyatta of reneging on his pre-election promises by failing to protect their political and communal interests. But ODM leader Raila Odinga says they are all backing up the wrong tree.
And still on the Daily Nation on page 5, Juma defies Raila's calls to apologize. Those two stories, interestingly, are back-to-back on page 4 and page 5. If you're also keen on matters transport, state moves to regulate matatu fares, and that story can be found on page 8 of the Daily Nation.
All right. Front page of the Standard as well, we have shock for men with children out of wedlock. Judge declares unconstitutional sections that gave men leeway to accept or reject children born out of marriage and allows offspring's automatic inheritance of their father's properties. We still also have a rundown of Boynet's achievements.
There you go. It's on page 8. The change of guard, intensifying lobbying underway after the tenure of IG lapsed without the process of replacing and taking place. So the big race to succeed IG, who will it be? It's on page 8 of the Standard newspaper.
Absolutely. And on the front page as well of the Standard, both Standard and Daily Nation, is that tragedy of the Boeing 737 plane crash. Aftermath, the authorities and ADIS say they will need about 5 more days to start releasing the bodies. There was complaints from relatives and families that they're taking too long and there's no information that's forthcoming. Let's go back to the Daily Nation, front page. And Honorable Didmas, I'll start with you. This issue of Raila Odinga, the ODM leader, is saying that you're all backing the wrong tree. You've been quoted as saying that this war is targeting the DP Ruto. Do you still stand by that statement?
Yes, I still stand by that statement. And I want to make it clear that we remain competitors for many years to come, and as long as we remain competitors, each one of us will be out to look for a way on how to discredit the other person. So as a team, what we have said is that we know where we are going, we know our goals, we know our objectives, and our focus is to win the presidential seat in 2022.
You just mentioned it, that you're looking for ways to discredit the other person. Is that exactly what you're doing?
That's what happens in politics.
So then that means that this issue that you're saying that the fight is against Ruto is just simply to discredit the other side, and it's not necessarily what you're doing.
The agencies that has the constitutional mandate to fight corruption are DCI and EACC. They are still investigating these matters. Up to now, we are not gotten any official position as which personalities that are going to be charged before the court of law.
So then on what basis are you saying that?
But we have seen already some people allied to former Prime Minister Raila Odinga attending funerals and making Kenyans believe that the person who is corrupt is the deputy president. So this is why we are saying that they are using the good intention by, security agencies, agencies that have the mandate to fight corruption, to be able to discredit the candidature of Deputy President William Ruto, and they're insinuating that he is the one that is responsible for the loss of billions of shillings. But what we are telling them that let all of us support DCI, support EACC, and let's wait and see whom are going to be on their list to be taken to court.
So do you also share the same sentiments with Dr. William Ruto that the DPP and the DCI are being used to fight this war on corruption and not necessarily to get to the bottom of whatever cases that they are looking to solve?
From where I sit, and my position is that some people are behaving as if they are thinking on behalf of DPP. They are behaving as if they are the spokespersons of the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution. They are behaving as if they are spokespersons of the Office of the Director of Criminal Investigation, briefing Kenyans on the status of the investigations, and giving misleading information as to who is responsible for the loss of billions of shillings from various things that are said. And I've always seen these corruption cases reported on the people, on the leading dailies in this country. And I will only believe a statement issued by, official statement issued by the Director of Public Prosecutions and the DCI in respect to whom they are going to charge in the court of law and by what offense.
But isn't that what you're supposed to wait for before you actually say that they're targeting someone? Because you're the one who's saying that people are acting like they're speaking on behalf of the DPP, and yet you are out there saying that they're targeting the DP. They haven't said that. So on what basis are you using that statement?
You see, you have seen all this concerted effort by our competitors. Every day when they wake up in the morning, any small graft that is reported, they want to link that, corruption to our candidate. So they are really out to arm themselves with this corruption, use this corruption tag to pull down the candidate of Deputy President William Ruto, while we know that corruption really exists in this country. And you can't really say that this particular person is more corrupt than the other. If it is investigating corruption, let each and every person in this country be investigated, those who are involved in this vice.
All right, Arnold Maliba, as a policy expert, do you share the same sentiments with Mheshimiwa?
Actually, I think the rift is not ideological. We need to get that factually. It's nothing ideological. The arguments around here, unless the word ideology no longer means sense, what I find very interesting is that politicians have actually kept on blowing hot and cold when it comes to the fight against corruption. Just the other day, they were cheering the DPP, the ODPP, and the DCI. They were very silent about the EACC, but all of a sudden they've realized that EACC should actually be playing that mandate. Somehow, someplace, they actually were very silent when EACC was being mutilated. But let's say this, that Jubilee started falling off immediately after the merger.
The merger or the handshake? The
merger.
What do you mean?
The handshake is an afterthought.
So Jubilee started falling in 2013?
Yes. Not really after 2013, 2017 during the merger.
Why would you say that?
The merger was badly handled. Some people were actually thrown under the bus. Those are the people who actually are kicking and fighting. So this war is not entirely around the handshake, because who really knows what the handshake is?
We'll get to the handshake in just a bit, but the war against graft is what we want to focus on. The war
against graft is being weaponized, and by the way, no one has actually said the DP is actually to blame. No one has said that it's targeting the DP, but somehow they happen to know even details. You know, like saying it's not this money, it's this particular money. So whoever is investigating and an outsider who is alleging, whom do we really believe? But I like to say this. You know, today I am actually very happy that I have got Honorable Barasa here. He has been a lead vocalist in the orchestra Tanga Tanga. You know, they are doing everything in symphony, harmony, and it's well synchronized. Whatever he says probably in Kimilili, somebody else is saying that in Mombasa. So it's well organized. They are decampaigning someone, and I think Raila is right when he says they are backing the wrong tree. Because literally, the fight against corruption is not about Raila. And by the way, the people are so angry. They actually are coming out as people who are against the war against corruption. So
for you, do you feel as if these state agencies, the EACC, the DPP, the DCI, whether they are working together, or do you feel as if there's a sense of disagreement between those three bodies? No, there is a multi-sectoral committee or other team that is working on that, put together. They've always worked together, though EACC has actually taken the back seat, though they should actually be
doing, because literally in the constitution, they have, and they are constitutional. DCI should actually be on the peripheries, but they've taken a lead. Somehow, probably there's going to be injection into it. But Mheshimiwa here was there when EACC was being mutilated. And now he'll ask how. He was here when the judiciary, they are now very afraid to go to the judiciary because they were here when the judiciary was actually being mutilated. If they had known that making up institutions would actually help everybody, including people they suspect are on their end and they're actually being probably targeted. This thing is purely about 2022, and like he said, they're discrediting. Probably I am thinking he should have said they are decampaigning the other candidate. But Raila has not declared his candidacy. They are just assuming
that he will run.
That he will run.
Why do you think our political leaders are using the tribal narrative in this war of corruption? Be it the dam scandal, be it NYS, be it whatever scandal, maize, sugar, there's always the tribal card that comes from our political leaders. Why are they using the tribal narrative? Because
ethnicity is a low-lying fruit when it comes to mobilizing. You need a mobilizing platform and you need a philosophy. And in a country that is bereft of ideology, is bereft of ideas, the easiest way is to go in for the low-lying fruits. It's about our person. So even if somebody stole, he says it's our person. You saw elders from Rift Valley saying, do not fire our son. And what about we who are taxpayers? So somebody's son should not be fired, but our tax money should not be accounted for. So it's lack of ideology, politics that is mannerless, that is actually taking us here. As in, there's not so much to say about that, because our politicians are lazy intellectually. They do not want to think, they do not want to work hard to actually just mobilize people. So we go for the easy wins. And I think Wanjiku has to wake up. And one of these fine days, like I'm looking forward to one of these fine days, Mheshimiwa being chased when he talks about 2022. And I know the people in Kimilili probably, he has not fulfilled everything he told the people. In Kimilili, he has got about 3 years to go. But Mheshimiwa is busy talking about 2022. So you will actually think probably he has finished everything he promised the people in Kimilili. And in that particular aspect, probably we should congratulate him for actually having finished that.
Okay. Let's take in a caller. Evans is calling us from right here in Nairobi. Evans, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, go ahead with your comment or question, Evans.
I'm listening to your comments, and Didymus Baraza says he supports the war on graft.
Yes.
He supports Kinoti, Nordin Haji, yet Honorable Dr. William Ruto says they are used for witch hunting. So that means Honorable Dr. Ruto does not support the two, yet he's in the government. Again, when somebody is fighting corruption in your area or your county, you should be happy because it is promoting your county.
Okay.
But when you fight somebody fighting corruption in your county, it means you are corrupt. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thanks, Evans. That's Evans from Nairobi. And he says if you're trying to fight the person who's fighting corruption, it means you're corrupt yourself. But first of all, Honorable Didymus, do you believe that there's a problem with the dam scandal? CMC Ravenna is a company that was almost bankrupt at the time it was given the contracts, worth billions of shillings. Is there a problem there? Let's start from that.
Ideally, I don't believe whether there's a problem.
So it's fine to just pay out the company for a job not done, no assessment, nothing?
From the time that matter was reported into the media, I believe that investigating agencies can take the shortest time possible to arrive at the findings on how much money is lost and who are responsible for the loss of these billions of shillings. Simple as that. Because as an investigator, you cannot take 1 month to establish whether the money was lost or not, unless if you are on a fishing expedition for evidence for the purposes of lining individuals or characters. Because today, I mean, if the record speaks for themselves that this money meant for the dam was diverted for personal gains, you must be able to arrive at the decision at most within 2 weeks.
I think that is not true.
That is not true.
And Mheshimiwa knows too.
No, you know, let me tell you.
Honorable, you know that is not true.
Let me tell you, as a Kenyan, as people who have gone to school, we cannot believe something that has not been brought out officially. The only person who is mandated by law to bring out and confirm that money is lost, this amount of money is lost, is the Office of the Auditor General or investigating agencies, not individuals masquerading as if they are
So then we should not believe you when you say that this
but then we were
graft
supposed
is
to believe
targeting an individual,
the deputy
because you're not
president
the
when
one
he
who's
said,
supposed to give the final statements on this.
But you see, when you begin a narrative that some money is lost, and then you have your choir master singing all over that the person who has stolen this money is this particular
Nobody
person.
has actually said
but
that.
even the DP said it was not 21 billion, it was
7 billion.
It was 7 billion. And you are saying we should not believe those people. Is he an investigating authority? He is not.
I have not said I've believed what anybody has said. I can only believe that money is lost if the statement is coming from an investigating agency, from the Office of the Auditor General. Let me tell you, we must run away from this narrative where you hear some rumors somewhere and then you come and say, this money is lost. If it's true that money is lost, that money meant to build dams has been diverted in this country, then that time will be confirmed when people will be arraigned before the court of law.
But MP, look at the scenario within the case, with this one for the specific dam, both dams. They were paid before even the projects were commenced. They paid a company that is broke. They paid a company that even the Nepal government themselves had to remove from any other project. There are so many questions around it. Yet the Kenyan government went ahead and gave them a tender, whether it's 7 billion or 21 billion, depending on whether you're listening to the DP or the CS of Treasury. At the end of the day, taxpayers' money was lost. Whether investigations take 2 weeks, as you've said, or a year, Kenyans just want answers.
Zinzi, I think you're asking the wrong question.
For
because he has already said in so many words that there was no money lost and there was no corruption. So asking that question to him doesn't make sense.
No, you cannot say that because he's not investigating.
He
doesn't believe it happened.
I have said that I want to repeat here that for you to arrive at the decision that something was not done right, you have to look at the original tender documents to be able to arrive at a conclusion that the tendering procedure was flouted, some due process was not followed, but you cannot just come on TV.
So in your
anywhere,
view, at this point, no money was lost. Is that what you're saying?
Up to today, I am not saying that the official position that money is not lost, but I have said that not until or unless the competent authorities comes forward and say money is lost here. I cannot come here and say money was not lost. I have not gone to audit.
They are following that, and you are forestalling their work. You are beating them up in funerals, you are beating them up on social media, and just ensuring that they do not do their work independently. Your fellow co-singers in the orchestra Tanga Tanga are beating up the ODPP. They are dealing with the EACC mercilessly and calling DCI names, including calling him Muganga. Guys you work very closely with. So are you allowing them to do their work? You are simply, by the way, it's important to actually point out that the DP's guys actually are coming out in full force to just ensure that the war on corruption is stopped. The only way we can have peace, the only way President Uhuru Kenyatta will appear like he's supporting the DP is when the war on corruption is stopped. And somebody has to actually mention this, that either the DP is very unlucky or there's a lot of conspiracies around him. Somehow he finds himself in wrong places literally every time.
Okay, speaking of mega projects, a lot of Rift Valley leaders, and I will pose this question to you, Mheshimiwa, feel as if the war on corruption is purposely being fought on that side of the country to make sure that mega projects do not continue to thrive. Is that the case? Do you feel the same way?
My position is that, and this has been my case every time, if you go back and begin to audit the cases that DCI has already acted on, like Kenya Power case, you saw what transpired in court. So what we are saying is that when you bundle somebody in court on allegations of corruption, there are two things that Kenyans look after you. One is the recovery of the asset that the money that was stolen. Two is you speed up the investigations so that you're able to secure conviction. And my position has been that for us to be objective in the fight against corruption, we must target everybody regardless of the position we hold in the community. And the people, including my very good friend, they should stop attributing to what I say to Deputy President. Anytime I say something, they say Ruto's ally. I have I'm a man of my own mind. I speak my own mind.
Ruto's ally.
I am his ally.
Are you denying your friendship with him?
No. I am a friend of the deputy president.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean that anything that I say, it's choreographed to mean that I'm speaking on the behalf of the DP. I am a member of parliament.
That's an oxymoron. When he started, he said that people are fighting their candidate. When he started. So when he comes in here and says, he actually said that they are working to decampaign the other people. So now he says, whatever he says should not be attributed or rather be related. That nexus is very clear. So
you at times, myself as a person, I have my own personal statements.
Okay.
Even in Parliament, we have a standing order allows someone to make these personal statements.
It's been a long time since we saw his personal statements.
All right,
it's been
let's bring in Marvin. We have a caller online. Marvin, good morning.
Morning.
Yes, go ahead with the comment or question, Marvin.
I have a question for Mr. Didmas.
Yes.
So, Mr. Didmas says that this fight against corruption is directed towards one specific tribe.
Okay.
So, if we have the corrupt people belonging to a tribe heading these institutions that are misusing the public funds, so we should not prosecute them because they are from that tribe. Yeah?
Okay.
And Mr. Didmas, I am loyal like you. Instead of you fighting for equitably distribution of positions in government, so that when this corruption comes on, we'll have a CS that is loyal. We'll also have a CS that is Borana, that is going to face the DCI. You're there campaigning for someone who has put his own clan there.
Marvin, thanks for calling in, Marvin. Thank you. That's Marvin from Vihiga, and you can hear his concerns. His concerns are more about the fight against graft and why you think it's targeting a particular section of the leadership and why you don't think it should be handled in a global state.
You know, I have not said that the war against graft is targeting a particular community.
No, you did not mean community. You said it's targeting the DP. It's not the community.
This is, let me paraphrase.
And yet it's not been mentioned by the
Let me paraphrase my statement. We have people in this country who purport to speak on behalf of DCI and the ESCC and DPP, on whom they are investigating and whom they will take to court soon, or whom has stolen money from public coffers. That is what we should stop. As leaders, we should lie low as envelopes, support the fight against graft, but not jumping the gun and saying so and so will soon be taken.
I find a lot of disconnect in your arguments because that's exactly what you're doing right now.
There's a lot of inconsistency in Mheshimiwa's explanations, and he knows too well what he's doing. He has said here very well that they are fighting those people who are fighting their own candidate, that some of these issues are actually being propped up and they are not factual. He is even speaking about a month to find evidence when he sits in parliament, and there are a lot of cases they have not settled. Years on end. He knows that, and he knows that the world, him being a business person, knows too well that the procurement world is very complex, and therefore this year is not going to run within a month and get evidence and put everything together. Besides, we've got a lot of cases that they're handling. Not just that.
No, Obija, how long do you take to examine a document or to prove that procurement procedures was not followed?
Examining a
that this
document
money
is different
was diverted to a different area.
They already have done that.
Then, if indeed is true what you are saying,
they have done
that they need time to complete this matter, then it's clear that even up to today, we are not sure who is responsible.
They are not allowing them to complete. When they actually looked at the documents and came up with a preliminary report to follow the money trail, these guys came up guns blazing. And we just have to give it to them. Their problem is actually that the president all of a sudden has staged a jailbreak. I think the handshake gave the president a little bit of freedom, and it's that freedom that they really do not like. They actually are fighting to take back the president back to prison. The president was somehow in some prison, their own prison. They would know what it is. They are all over. All of a sudden, but President Uhuru Kenyatta is going to be that president who for the first time is being fought viciously in a post-2002 era, when he's still sitting, his own members of parliament turning against him. And it's so simple. It's about following money. Remember, the economy is on its knees. People do not have money. when you talk about cash flow out there, is not there. That is not the business of these guys.
Speaking of Uhuru and his members of parliament, a lot of MPs feel as if the President Uhuru Kenyatta is using trickery to block the DP's bid come 2022.
If the DP is clean, then the president will not succeed. But then we all know that the fight against corruption there's an attempt to turn it into the new ICC. As in, guys are desperately looking for a rallying philosophy, something that brings people together. They are looking for a platform. In the war against corruption, they want to play on victimhood card like 2013 worked out. It's nothing new, really. And I'm feeling like Mheshimiwa just doesn't want to say the truth. But he probably knows where that money will be. If you actually said, my goat is lost, and somebody says, si mimi nimeiba, na hujasema ni yeye. Proverbs 28:1 says that the wicked, and I'm not saying it means anyone, but the wicked are afraid of everything. But the righteous are as brave as lions. These guys are running all over. What do you know that we don't? The DCI comes up and says, I'm looking at 21 billion. Somebody runs up and says, that is a lie. It's only 7 billion shillings that we used. Who asked you in the first place?
You see what my friend is saying here, and I want to tell him is misleading this country. Because saying that as members of parliament, we are not allowing DPP to complete their work. There is no document that we have to sign for the DPP to decide whether to take anybody to court. None of the members of parliament itself doesn't sit on the panel that decides who to be taken to court.
That may be true, but
there are so many courts. There is the court of public opinion. So whatever the DCI then brings to court will already have been adjudged in the perspectives of the people that he is already biased. Your friends are doing that. The quartet of yourself, Sudi, Murkomen, and Moses Kuria, doing that perfectly very well.
But you see, let us discuss matters on merit-to-merit basis. The fact that somebody said somewhere in funeral somewhere else doesn't mean that this is now the official position of our team. All these people have a right to say what they want to say.
But at the
end of the day,
do you, however, agree that the DCI, the DPP, EACC should be given time to finish the investigations before you start speaking about it? Because they haven't said it.
And from every angle, from those who are saying you are targeting a person, and those who are saying this money is lost, the person who has stolen this money is so and so. You are saying as who? Are you privy to the investigations? Are you meeting with the DCI to be briefed on the status of the investigations?
They are basing it on the documents.
But I agree that we should all give DPP and the EACC time to carry out what they are mandated by the Constitution to do.
All right, we need to take a commercial break, gentlemen. When we come back, we'll continue with this conversation. As we come back, we'll continue to get some of your calls as well as texts and SMSs on 22422. Would love to hear from you, but first, let's take that commercial break.